Aloha everybody, welcome to another episode of Scrumptious Hawaii. Today we're going to be making a dessert called baklava. This is a dessert that originates from Europe and the Middle East. I'm going to be teaching you an American version of baklava, so let's get started. You're going to be needing phyllo dough, crushed nuts, butter, brown sugar, granulated sugar, cinnamon, nutmeg, lemon, hot water, and an optional side ingredient, honey. You'll also be needing a 9 by 13 inch baking dish. We're going to be starting off by taking our nuts. For this recipe, I am using crushed walnuts. I want it to be a little bit finer, so I am just taking a hard object and smashing the nuts in a Ziploc bag. You're now going to want to add your white sugar or granulated sugar and brown sugar into the Ziploc bag with the nuts. And then you'll want to add your cinnamon and nutmeg. Seal your Ziploc bag tightly and then start mixing everything up. Now we're going to want to grease our baking dish. Make sure to grease the bottom and the sides really well. Now you're going to want to take your phyllo dough out of the package and melt your butter. It's best to use a basting brush to do the butter on the phyllo dough layers, but I didn't have a brush on me, so I just used a clean paper towel. You're going to start by adding about 10 layers of phyllo dough. For every layer of phyllo dough, you're going to need to make sure that you spread melted butter over each layer so that the phyllo dough can remain moist. This dessert does take some time, so make sure that you allow yourself a couple of hours if you're going to make baklava. Keep adding layers of phyllo dough until you make about 10. And for each layer, make sure that you are brushing your melted butter on top. The idea of baklava is to have it be very buttery and moist. It may seem like we're using lots of butter for this recipe, but trust me, this is what makes a really good baklava. And do not worry if your phyllo dough does not come out perfect or if there are any rips. Once we bake this dish, it's going to turn out really well. After your first 10 layers of phyllo dough, go ahead and spread about 1/4 cup of your sugar and nut mixture. You may need to get some of the sugar clumps out. After adding your first layer of nuts, you're going to be adding an additional 10 layers of phyllo dough and continue the process. Make sure that for every layer of phyllo dough you lay down, you also brush it with melted butter. Continue to do this until you have 10 more layers. And you're going to once again repeat the process, you're gonna add about 1/4 cup of the nuts and sugar mixture. Make sure that when you are spreading the sugar and nuts, you spread it out evenly throughout the dish. Add 10 more layers of phyllo dough and butter. This seems like a difficult dessert to make, but trust me, it is actually quite simple. It just is very time consuming, but this will all be worth it in the end. You're gonna add 1 more layer of sugar and nut mixture after your 10 layers. And then continue to add about 5 to 10 more layers of phyllo dough and melted butter. You'll just want to make sure that you don't have any more nuts and sugar to add to the dish. So we're gonna seal it off with some more layers of the phyllo dough. Next, you're gonna want to take a sharp knife and you're gonna cut your pieces in diamond and triangle shapes. So just cut some 2-inch lines diagonally, and you'll also cut diagonally the opposite way. You want to try to get diamond and triangular shapes. And no, your baklava pieces do not have to look perfect. They can be different shapes and sizes. So cut until you have something that looks similar to this. Now you're gonna put your dish into your oven at 350 degrees, and you're gonna bake this for about 25 minutes or until the baklava turns golden brown. While your baklava is baking, we're gonna be making the hot sauce for it now. You're gonna take water, the juice of half of a lemon, and then some granulated sugar. Stir it all up until the sugar dissolves into the water. And you're gonna wanna heat this sauce in the microwave for at least 1 minute. And when you take your dish out of the oven, you'll wanna do this part quickly. You're gonna add the hot sauce over the whole baklava. And this recipe is great for people who have a honey allergy. However, I do love to add drizzle of honey onto my baklava. So in this recipe, you'll see me adding some honey over the baklava, but this is optional. Like I said, if you do have a honey allergy, just skip this step. And this is how you do baklava. I've been making it for a long time. I was inspired to learn this from a Lebanese restaurant that my mom and I used to love frequenting. I hope you guys give this recipe a try. Let me know in the comments how this turns out. I'm Lori from Scrumptious Hawaii. Mahalo for watching.